Coming up on Nebraska Stories, an unlikely friendship born of a chance encounter. A Lincoln police officer becomes a human rights advocate. Trail riding in the Nebraska National Forest. And two-star athletes redefine a championship legacy.
The thing that's the hardest about this whole piece is the coda.
Paul Barnes has spent months practicing for a new piece he commissioned from a favorite composer.
There. But yeah, these 2 pages are by far the hardest.
Barnes is a piano virtuoso who splits his time between teaching at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and performing classical concerts across the globe.
And this is the section that Philip let me add all of those wonderful octaves here.
The Philip to whom he refers is none other than the world-renowned composer Philip Glass, widely regarded as one of the most influential composers working today.
Beautiful epiphany chord there.
The two met by chance 24 years ago on an airplane leaving Lincoln, Nebraska.
On that flight, as I was sitting down, I saw Philip Glass get on the plane, and the seat next to him was empty, and so I just, in a fit of divine inspiration, hopped over the aisle, and before I knew it, I'm talking to one of my favorite people on the planet, Philip Glass.
They've been on and off collaborators ever since, forming a friendship through music. Barnes first commissioned a piece from Glass in 2004. This latest commission is a bit different. Long known for his innovative and experimental symphonies, film scores, and operas, this is Glass's first piano quintet and his first piece inspired by a Byzantine chant.
The music that he gave me to work with was very interesting to work with. The harmonic changes are very suppressed. It's not what we hear in modern music. Frankly, I didn't know whether he was going to like it or not.
I had no idea how he was going to be able to deal with that. When I got the manuscript in the mail and played through the first way that he dealt with the theme, I was just stunned because it was so beautiful. Oh, I still remember the first time I played this. I was so happy.
While Glass may have had some critics in earlier years, he remains in high demand. In 2018, he was presented with a Lifetime Artistic Achievement Award at the Kennedy Center Honors. And getting on Glass's schedule is a challenge. Glass is on a whirlwind trip to the Midwest from his home in New York for the world premiere of his latest work, but not before a jam-packed day of rehearsals and finessing.
If I were to redo that today, I would put in a full horn section.
Oh, I see.
And a lot of introductions.
I want to introduce my student, Sean. I want to introduce you to Philip Glass. This is the UNL Orchestra. This is Philip Glass.
In some ways, they are an unlikely pair. 82-year-old Glass is soft-spoken, measured, yet deliberate with his input and composing.
This is the section where I just want to fill it out a little bit in octaves, and I want you to hear it first, okay? So when I'm here with the quintet,
Isn't it a little fast?
well, we really go fast here. So
Yeah, but you're already.
yeah, we're at 144 is what
Was
we
it,
wanted
where
to do
were
this.
you in the previous?
Barnes is a fire hose of energy, alternating rapid-fire expressiveness with nuance.
Same tempo as, well, and this, by the way, is the hardest part in the whole quintet.
Why is that?
Because it is.
It definitely write music that's challenging for him, but why shouldn't I? He always does it.
And then this is where you definitely wanted things faster.
Why write something that he can play?
And then a little bit of a poco rent, and then right into the...
Both are passionate and seem to have the kind of undeniable connection of two masters at the top of their game.
That's good. Yeah.
We're very different. I'm way over the top, you know, and he's much more contemplative.
I guess that sounds like a good prescription for a rich friendship. We aren't the same, we're different, but we're different in interesting ways.
Here we go.
At the end of the day, there's more work to do. One last rehearsal. Glass has never heard his piano quintet played by musicians, and the performers are still finding their way with the new work.
I think it works better just to go ahead and stick with, you know, because we have this nice big retard.
So maybe let's try that again.
Can we try that again?
Even the night before the world premiere, changes are still being made to the work.
Can we do first time at 30?
Wasn't exactly together at the end.
Right. You want exactly together.
Well, don't you?
You want to take it right at 28?
But I think also when you begin that last thing, it should be a little bit louder. I wouldn't make that an eighth note.
Yeah, I like it better with an eighth note.
I think so too. This will go on for a while with a new piece. It could go on for a month, or it could go on for years. I'm still making corrections to pieces that I wrote years ago. Yeah, that was
Well,
it's a tiny thing, but
the way a piece ends is huge, you know.
the first night is like a birth. It's very much like having children for the first time. And people will tell you that. There's something new in the world that wasn't there before. And that's an astonishing thing when you think about it. It doesn't happen every day. We have witnesses, we have audiences, we have the sharing of that experience, what I call the transaction. The reason they come for the opening night, because that's the night where the highest charge of emotion will be in that night. The audience is a catalyst. It's a match that lights the fire. Oh, he's a very good player. Doing concert for 50 years, so I have favorite players, and he's one of the best of the best. He is completely engaged in what he's doing. The way he walks on the stage, the way he sits down, the way he plays. This is a man who's doing exactly what he should be doing.
Some of it is hard enough that you just have to be thinking about nailing the music. But when you're really solid with the music, then you're experiencing it right along with all of the audience.
One of the pleasures of living a life of a performer and the life of an artist is the richness on the human side of the friendships. It goes very deep. Sometimes the feelings you have no other way of expressing. When I hear someone playing my music and I say, oh, I sometimes say, I wish I could play it like that. It means that they found something in music that I didn't know was there. And that can happen.
Well, we have lots of other plans. You're going to write your second piano sonata for me.
Yeah, that's
I think
right.
we decided that, didn't we?
Well, we
Yes.
talked about it, we did. We'll see what
It's so easy for me to
I haven't
raise
written the
money,
first
so
one
it'll
yet,
happen.
you see.
No, but it's
Well,
taken care, it's spoken for, so I'm going to get the second piano sonata. So probably for your, what is it, 85th, perfect. Let's plan it for your 85th celebration. All right?
There's time for more music, I think.
In 2010, the United Nations held a special screening of a feature film. The Whistleblower is based on events in the life of a woman who risked her life to expose the truth.
I have never considered myself a whistleblower, and even when I did report what was going on through numerous channels, I really felt that was just my job.
In 1999, 4 years after the end of the war in Bosnia, Catherine Bolkovac arrived at a United Nations building in Sarajevo as a newly hired member of the International Police Task Force. Bolkovac had spent 10 years as a cop in Lincoln, Nebraska. But now she was working for DynCorp, a private military contractor funded by the U.S. government.
We were working with 40 to 50 other nations worldwide, some who had very little training in the type of police work that we did in the United States. There was no accountability to anyone, really, other than this government contractor that we were working for. So it was very easy, I think, for people to just disregard any of their maybe morals or convictions or lifestyles that they had in the States and kind of go native, as they called it. And going native was something that a lot of men did there. One day, the local police department there, the Bosnian police, brought me a young girl who they had found dumped on the side of the road to my office, and I began an interview process with her.
The victim spoke no English, but kept repeating the word Florida. Bolkovac knew about the Florida Bar, a dive frequented by UN personnel. The film shows what happened next.
We started searching. I found under the bar an open metal container, like a box that closed that was open, and inside was US dollars and a lot of passports, East European passports of young women, which were kept in that box.
And then, as she later wrote, I spotted a rickety set of stairs, which led to a wooden door. I did my best Magnum PI move and kicked it in. There on the other side huddled 7 young women with terrified faces. Littered about were a few plastic grocery bags full of miniskirts and glittery tank tops. Their work clothes.
Where international money flows, so goes sex trafficking. Everyone knew what was going on. No one was willing to talk about it. No one was willing to actually stand up and say, hey, do you guys think this is kind of wrong? I was the first person to actually do that. This wasn't just the street cops and the corrupt few on the ground. This corruption flew all the way to the top of the United Nations and through our State Department and diplomats. So this was something that was going to actually hamper the good old boys club. And I think that probably for that reason alone, was the reason a lot more pressure was being put on me to stop these investigations.
She didn't stop. On October 9th, 2000, Bolkovac sent an email with the subject, "Do not read this if you have a weak stomach or guilty conscience."
If you think these girls are just prostitutes, you're mistaken. This is what prostitution is, and I gave them a definition. This is what human trafficking is. This is where these girls are coming from. This is how old they are. So, use your heads, guys. I sent that off to about 50 people, from the heads of to the UN mission, to DynCorp managers, to my fellow colleagues, to human resources, to whoever I could think of that might make a difference, and felt relief. I had had threats made toward me on a daily basis as a police officer. That's something you just get used to. Yeah, it was very unsettling to be in Bosnia, to not have my gun at my side, to not have people I could trust, to have to be really thinking about who I could trust. And when those people who I thought I did trust were warning me that, things were being talked about, a lot of gossip in the UN headquarters, a lot of DynCorp employees were plotting behind my back. So those were some pretty unsettling moments for me.
Bulkovac was reassigned to a desk job to get her out of the way, but instead, it gave her access to files she could use to prove her case. Soon after, DynCorp fired her for supposedly falsifying timesheets. She gathered up her evidence and escaped by car from Bosnia into Holland.
When I left the country with the files is the first time I actually broke down and cried. I was pretty rattled, but for the most part, I was able to maintain my composure and gather enough evidence and basically get the hell out of the country.
Bulkovac sued DynCorp in England over her dismissal. The court found that her investigative work was the real reason she was fired. But that was as far as the system would allow her to go. She settled out of court, wrote a book, and traveled the world telling her story. When the movie starring Rachel Weisz screened at the UN, people were appalled.
Corruption within the United Nations, corruption in private contracting, what we're really doing in this world with all these peace-building missions, human trafficking, gender issues, women's issues. But, bottom line, here we are 10, 15 years later, no real changes have been made at the United Nations.
Now a grandmother of 6, Catherine Bulkovac has been blackballed from international peacekeeping, the work she loves best. Yet she has no regrets.
Don't be afraid to change the world. Don't be afraid to speak out. And, but if you do, just be forewarned. You need to realize this is not an easy road ahead of you. And if you're not prepared for that, you're going to have a really hard time. I think I would have done the same thing if I had to live my life over. I really do.
Every fall, people gather at the Nebraska National Forest near Halsey for the popular 4-H trail ride.
When I first wanted to come, I was kind of scared, but yet I wanted to see what the country was. And the uniqueness is the different people that you meet and see. And you learn so much about our community, our state even.
This trail ride's been going for 20 years. Most of us that are still involved on the committee were at that first meeting 20 years ago. The trail ride became a logical thing to do, and we talked about where do you have it? Well, we got a state 4-H camp right here. People come in on Friday night and are able to stall their horses here and kind of use this as a central point. All of our rides kind of start from here and come back to here. Part of it's the solitude and being close to their horses, and some people are just campers.
Their campsite is within the forest, but it's a primitive site, meaning it doesn't have electricity.
Let's see, we got to do this, right? We hook up a pump jack on the windmill because not absolutely certain the wind's going to blow and the horses need water. Somebody had taken that pump jack apart and messed it up a little bit, and we weren't really sure how it went back together. Anybody got a pump jack at home? Had some pump jack mechanics help us out and got it put back together, and then it worked.
This morning it was cool, damp. The horses have been penned, and some of them haven't been used enough. It's an anxiety on their part.
You're being a good girl, aren't you, Rosie? You just needed to lunge and take that edge off.
It's enjoyment, it's mother-daughter time, and there's no cell service, so I have her full undivided attention. It's a way for us to get away and enjoy the nature. It's beautiful out here. The riders are anxious to hit the trail, but before they do, they pay tribute to a recently deceased friend.
Gary was a great cowboy. He was a great friend, and he's kind of the face of this trail ride for a lot of years. But I think Gary would be with us in spirit today, and know he is. What we're gonna do is when Dewey leads out, he's gonna lead Gary's horse out riderless. Let's just have a moment of silence and then we'll lead out. He was the face of this trail ride. He passed away last week. He had ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. He knew everybody. He was just a really outgoing, unique individual. A great friend to lots and lots of people. You're in the most unique grassland in the world, and then you're at a national forest that's planted by hand, and then you put all these people with their horses here. We've had people from lots of different locations, from South Dakota, Colorado, Wyoming. We've had some foreign exchange students come on this trail ride before.
The scenery has a lot to do with it. You can't see that along the road. It's back in behind everything, so you see all the good things.
A lot of the same people come here, and it's just an awesome group of people. I enjoy seeing those people again. Sometimes we just see them once a year, and getting to know those people, it's just a lot of fun. We've been here when it was snowing, when it was raining, when it was hot, and we're all in t-shirts and sweating.
I think it's about relationships. There's no better way to spend a weekend than with horses and with people that you like.
It's been a really challenging journey for us to get here.
The beginning of the season to where we are now is leaps and bounds.
I don't think any of you guys were penciling us in for the Final Four. I got to give a lot of credit to these two, Michaela and Kenzie, for their leadership.
This team always believed that we could get here, no matter what everyone was saying.
We had so many young players that didn't know Nebraska volleyball, know our system, know our culture, and we've really just kind of tried to instill that in them.
Looking back at Nebraska volleyball's run to get to the 2018 National Championship, it was a season of many firsts, especially for outside hitter Michaela Fecky and libero Kenzie Maloney. Being elected team captains during a quote-unquote rebuilding year put a significant amount of pressure and responsibility on these two seniors.
They've had the biggest challenge of any captains since I've been here. I mean, 8 new players, 2 are from out of the United States. I mean, this has been a major rebuild.
Fecky delivered on the overpass. Maloney tries to get to it at the bench, and she does.
Michaela Fecky and Kenzie Maloney will go down as 2 of the most important Huskers of all time, because the energy, the belief, the confidence, the culture they helped create when they arrived in 2015 was immediately evident.
Nebraska's 2015 National Championship featured Final Four's most outstanding player, Michaela Fecky. The true freshman from West Point, Iowa, elevated the volleyball program to its first title since 2006, ending a 6-year Final Four drought. An early indication the next 3 years could reach new heights for John Cook and the Huskers.
Her and Kenzie, I couldn't be more proud of the job they've done as captains of this team.
You know, it is a great balance because she can be the serious tone, whereas if things are kind of getting chaotic or there's bickering or something like that, I feel like I can kind of smooth that out. So I think that's where we balance each other out a lot.
It's special to see them take on that role and really take responsibility and kind of ownership of this group.
He serves with Nebraska on a 4-0 run, and Becky slams it home. Out of the back row, Becky with one of those fireballs. On set from Maloney to her classmate Becky, kept alive by Maloney off the block.
They had this just belief, and we've seen it manifest itself into 2 national championships.
Michaela and I couldn't have asked for a better 4 years here. 2 Big Ten championships, 2 national championships is crazier than I could have ever expected. You know, I came here as a freshman and I said, I want to come here because I want to win a national championship. And we've exceeded that, and it's been surreal.
I thought last year it couldn't get any better, and I've had more fun coaching this year, more satisfaction, more enjoyment because of where we started and all the mountains we had to climb for us to compete and be in there in the end. You know, it's pretty rewarding.
It's just hard to think that Michaela and I have been here for 4 years in a row, and I've been honored to play with her and be her teammate for these last 4 years.
In the 2018 National Championship, not many gave Nebraska a chance to hang with a very talented Stanford team. A match-high 27 kills from Michaela Fecky proved once again how valuable she is. But in a 5-set thriller, Stanford was too much and celebrated an NCAA record 8th national championship.
I made bonds with girls that at the beginning of the season I definitely wouldn't have thought that I would have been as close with them as I was, and that's why I think losing is so difficult right now, is because I love them so much and want them to be so successful, and we made bonds that'll last a lifetime and memories that we'll cherish forever.
They have created a legacy here over the last 4 years that we're all going to be chasing. I'm going to have to become a better coach. Our returning players are going to have to find a way to go to another level to try to even reach what these guys have done. And if you look at over the last 4 years, they're 51-3 in the months of November and December. They've been to 4 Final Fours, won 2 of them. That puts it up, those guys' legacy way up there in college volleyball.
They gave everything that they had. They set the bar higher than it's ever been set. They probably have accomplished more when you look at results and banners and championships and things like that than any Nebraska player ever. You know, they've been winners their whole life, and they will continue to be winners, and they will be missed a lot starting in 2019 in Nebraska volleyball, especially by me.
Watch more Nebraska Stories on our website, Facebook, and YouTube. Nebraska Stories is funded by the Margaret and Martha Thomas Foundation.